Well, teachers, hello and welcome. You're here because you are likely also interested in doing something about joining up teacher wellbeing and professional development. The general philosophy here is that just like with our learners, when we feel well, we are more likely to teach and learn well. In other words, well teachers teach well. So let's get started. In this episode, we're going to be thinking about 3 things to consider before you start preparing for a workshop. This is even if you're an experienced trainer. And this episode is really inspired by the last one, which is where I shared 7 terrible learnings and mistakes that I got from one of the worst workshops I had ever delivered. So following that workshop, where I felt like I had really let the whole team down, I was tremendously fortunate to have one of the best managers I have ever worked with at that time. And I think if I had been working with someone who maybe wasn't so interested in helping me develop and didn't have a coaching mindset and attitude to his job, I may not even be sharing this with you now. So instead, I had a manager who was the opposite of kind of insecure and not interested, and he was kind and he was assured in himself and his own capabilities, and most importantly he was really sincerely interested in helping me grow too. So after that workshop, he noticed my disappointment. He noticed my energy levels were quite low after the conference. I was having a big dip after that terrible workshop. And he took the time to proactively book a meeting with me where he gave me 3 points to consider about my presentation. And he was so cool because he made sure they were easy to remember. He made sure that they were all really, really relevant and accurate. And I don't know how he did this, but he made them all begin with the letter A. So in this episode, I'm sharing these golden nuggets that surfaced out of that train wreck of a presentation so that you can also join in and glean this wisdom from him too. He took the time to analyze what happened, and he gave these 3 easy to remember areas, which are audience, authority, and authenticity. And he talked me through each of them and said that these were some of the reasons why he felt the session hadn't gone so well. So firstly, audience. The audience wasn't quite right for the way I'd chosen to present, or rather the content wasn't quite right for the audience. So I'd missed a crucial piece by treating sales teams as teachers, and this is something you really can't miss when you're preparing a workshop. So a good question to ask when it comes to audience is, and I ask this to myself now all the time, especially if I'm hired or asked to do a workshop for somebody else or for a team, who am I delivering this for? Who are they? How can I make this time exceptionally valuable for them? So the first one, audience. The second one, he said, was authority. And this is the part where he said I lost my footing a little bit. So by bringing so many people into the delivery of the workshop, the whole authority was dispersed and it wasn't clear what message was really being conveyed about the product we needed to talk to these sales teams about. So this was really helpful. You don't usually think of authority when you're thinking through a workshop that you need to deliver as such, as specifically as calling it authority. But when he said authority, this really stayed with me. And a question that I ask now when I'm delivering a workshop or preparing for one, or a lesson even, is do I actually know what I'm talking about here? Or do I have things to learn before I can speak with authority on this? And he said, make sure that you have really sorted this part out in terms of authority before you start trying to deliver something to an audience. So we've had audience, we've had authority, and then he said, thirdly, authenticity. So this one he shared was so spot on with my own workshop. Even though it went badly, he said he couldn't fault me on the authenticity and the sincerity with which I delivered this session. So a question for authenticity might be, one that I ask myself before I take on a workshop or a piece of work even is, am I comfortable delivering this? Am I able to be really true to myself in the content and the delivery and in this workshop when I'm delivering it? So I found these three things so succinct and so helpful, and they kind of function as a good lens, a kind of binocular set to look through when you're assessing a situation that you're about to deliver or being asked to deliver a workshop for. So let's summarize the three. The three are audience, authority, and authenticity. These three areas are really good to think through before you start preparing or planning for a workshop or a lesson even. And the fact that this feedback was so good I didn't ever need to take notes. I actually only wrote them up now when I was preparing to deliver this podcast. It means that this is really good stuff to think through, in my opinion. So I'm really grateful for the way this manager focused on these practical areas for me to consider, rather than leaving me with very harsh criticism or harsh words, which I have also received after workshops that I've delivered before. And in comparison, this was so considered and so genuinely geared towards my development that it really left me with a lasting and highly valuable toolkit to use moving forward. So I really hope that these three things help you also think through your workshops and lessons too before you deliver one. I'd love to know what you think. Please drop a note in the comments if you have more thoughts or something else that you'd like to add on this point. And now we are going to move into updates and announcements. So I am back in Dubai next week. Currently, I'm recording this to you while I look at the mountains in Chitral. It's so beautiful here. The weather has just turned. The season has just become really, really beautiful and shifted into warmth and summer. So it's been wonderful to see this change in the natural scenery around me. But I'm back in Dubai next week and there's a few things happening. So two different things. If you're a Well Teachers member and you're listening to this, we are having our monthly PD workshop. It's going to be on metacognition, and our month-end anchor workshop, which is our well-being workshop, where we go through and declutter and plan together for the month to come and reflect on the month that has passed. I am so in need of this session, so I'm really looking forward to catching up with everyone in real time and doing this together. The second thing, if you're not a Well Teachers member, is I am holding some events surrounding Well Teachers coming up. So be sure to stay in touch with me on LinkedIn and also on the mailing list. I'm going to put the link in the comments here to get the invites. Some of these will be in person, some of them will be online, but there are going to be different events coming up. So these are going to be free and they're public ones. So stay tuned for more. I'm really excited to be able to deliver these and I can't wait to perhaps meet you at some of them. If you've listened to the end here, I would really, really like to see you at some of these. So stay tuned for more. And with that being said, I wish you a good rest of your day wherever this reaches you and keep well. Bye.